Have you ever heard of the town of Derby, Kansas? If not, you're not alone. The town is so small that it doesn't even have a post office. But there is something strange about this place, something that might make you not want to visit because no one has died here since 1983. That's right. For over 40 years, no one has died in Derby, Kansas, leading people to believe it's cursed. So why haven't any senior citizens kicked the bucket here? And why are the locals so afraid of dying? We'll tell you all about it right now. But before we do, be sure to hit that like button for more videos. Also, stick around for No. 3 if you don't want to die for the next 40 years. Number 10. A town full of secrets. Derby, Kansas is a small town located in the western part of the state, just south of the Republican River and near the borders with Colorado and Nebraska. As we said earlier, it doesn't even have its own zip code, which means it's not really recognized as a standalone community by the U.S. Postal Service. It uses the same zip code as its neighboring city, Bennington, Kansas. This makes sense considering that in the 2020 census, they only counted 36 people living in Derby. That's less than half the population of Topeka, which is a pretty big city in Kansas, at least compared to the tiny town of Derby. In fact, in the last census, they found that there were 0 housing units occupied in Derby. So while no one is living there permanently, people still consider it their home, because it's not a ghost town. There are still active landowners in Derby, Kansas. No, 9. Where did everybody go? There was a time when people did live in Derby. During the 1920 census, they counted 257 people in the town. By 1930, this had dropped to 167 residents. Then to 147 in 1940. By 1950, they only had 97 people living in Derby. Then between the 1960 and 1970 census, the town lost another 60% of its population. And this is where things get weird. After losing almost 2/3 of its people in 10 years, the town somehow managed to gain 100 new residents by the 1980 census. It jumped from 40 in 1970 to 140 in 1980. It was the only town in the area experiencing growth at the time. They were able to keep that momentum going too, doubling their population every decade since 1980. But all that growth happened outside of town. Right now, the town itself hasn't seen any growth at all. There are still only 36 people living in Derby, but the surrounding area has grown rapidly. It's easy to find jobs, good schools, and affordable homes in the area surrounding Derby, which brings us to our next point. No. 8. An unnatural silence. The reason everyone left Derby, Kansas is still a mystery, but it's likely due to the town's location. Derby's located in the middle of a wheat field, far away from any major highways or bodies of water. It's also isolated from other towns, which could have made life difficult back in the early 1900s. The isolation may have been a bit easier to deal with in the modern age, what with the invention of the automobile and good roads, but that didn't happen until the 1920s. And by then, most of the people who lived there already left. So what exactly keeps the remaining people in town? Well, for starters, none of them have died since 1983. Number 7. The Curse of Derby. According to the few locals who remain in Derby, Kansas, no one dies there anymore. Of course, this is quite an extraordinary claim, but they swear it's true. They say no one has died there since July 25, 1983. It was at this time that a local farmer named Herschel Curry passed away after being gored in the chest by a pitchfork. But it wasn't just this farmer who refused to kick the bucket in Derby. In the years following Herschel's death, no one else has died there either. Doctors, lawyers, teachers, and store owners have all left Derby for bigger cities, yet none of them have died. Many of the people who have tried to move to Derby have gotten cold feet when they found out no one dies here. Even those who are born in the town won't stay. Local real estate agent Annette O'Brien told the New York Times in 2015 that she has sold numerous houses in the area, but never a single house in Derby. She says people will buy houses near Derby, but never inside the town limits. All these people are terrified to become the first casualty in nearly 4 decades. Just imagine how spooky that would be. You move to a nice little town in the middle of Kansas, expecting to settle down and raise a family, but then you find out no one dies here. At first it might be fun, but then you start to worry. What if you're the one who breaks the curse? Will you die in a freak accident as soon as you step foot in Derby? Number 6. The last resident. The current mayor of Derby, Kansas, is a woman named Cheryl Harrison. She's also the last person to die in the town, which makes her position a little awkward. In 2015, the New York Times published an article about the strange town and reached out to the mayor to see if she could shed some light on the situation. Mayor Harrison was more than happy to help them with their investigation, telling them that she's always happy to talk about the unique circumstances that come along with being the mayor of a town that no longer exists. When asked if anyone had died in Derby during her tenure as mayor, she replied, "Not that I know of, and I've been mayor for 17 years. If someone does, I usually hear about it." She told them that the town doesn't hold funerals anymore because no one has died in a long time. As a result, the town no longer has a funeral home. So if someone does pass away in Derby, they have to go to the funeral home in the next closest city. She says the town used to have a funeral home in the basement of the schoolhouse, but it went out of business in the 1980s when the owner retired. No, 5. Living in limbo. We don't know why people are afraid to die in Derby, but we can guess that it has to do with the possibility of becoming famous. For breaking a decades-long curse, Mayor Harrison told the New York Times that she thinks the media attention is flattering in a way. Even though it's all because no one has died in the town for 40 years, still she said that she doesn't mind talking about it, because it gets Derby's name out there and brings people to the town. She knows that a lot of people are curious about the town and want to visit. She says the people who actually do visit are often disappointed because there's nothing to see. She told them they'll drive through town and say, "That's it." One time they even sent a film crew out to film a documentary about the town. They drove all the way from California to Derby only to find that there's literally nothing going on there. Number 4. The case of the missing cemeteries. Another reason the people of Derby are so desperate to leave is because they don't have anywhere to bury their dead. The town used to have 2 cemeteries where most of the residents were laid to rest, but those cemeteries no longer exist. They were torn up sometime in the late 1980s and turned into private property. In 2015, the mayor told the New York Times that she believes the cemeteries were destroyed to make way for more farmland. This might have been true, except for the fact that both cemeteries were found to still be under the ground where the farms currently stand. One of the cemeteries is still located on private property, but the other one is sitting right in the middle of a cornfield owned by Roger and Shirley Johnson. Mr. Johnson told the Wichita Eagle in 2019 that he had no idea there was a cemetery on his land, until one day a group of historians showed up asking to dig up his cornfield. He said that they had brought metal detectors with them, but he told them that they weren't welcome on his property. Number 3. The ghosts of Derby. While no one has died in Derby, Kansas since 1983, several people have died in the surrounding area since then, and their ghosts are now haunting the nearby towns. The small community of Bennington, which is close to Derby, is home to a number of haunted locations, including the historic Fox Theater. Built in 1909, the theater is said to be haunted by several ghosts, including that of a former projectionist who died on the job. Visitors and staff members have reported seeing the ghost of the projectionist, as well as hearing strange noises and feeling unexplained vibrations throughout the building. Then there's the White Rock Inn, which was built in 1887 and served as a stagecoach stop along the Oregon Trail. One of the inn's most famous guests was Wyatt Earp, the legendary lawman who shot Lincoln. Casey is also said to be buried somewhere on the property, and his ghost is said to wander the grounds at night. Number 2. A town without hope. There are many theories as to why no one has died in Derby, Kansas, but the most likely explanation is that the townspeople are simply too healthy. Unlike in larger cities where heart disease and cancer are common causes of death, the people of Derby seem to live long, healthy lives. This is likely due to a combination of factors, including a lack of exposure to pollution, strong sense of community, and plenty of open space for exercise. These factors, along with a healthy diet and regular exercise, have probably contributed to the longevity of the people living in Derby. Or maybe there is a curse on the town and no one has died there since 1983. Who knows? Number 1. No services. In addition to lacking a funeral home, Derby also lacks other essential services, such as a police force and a fire department. This is because the town is simply too small to support these services. Instead, the residents rely on the police and fire departments of the nearby towns of Burr, Oak, and Canton. In the event of an emergency, the residents of Derby are instructed to call the police or fire department of the nearest town. Well, that about wraps things up for this video. But if you enjoyed it and want to see more just like it, be sure to check out more content. With that, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.